am I gonna do? I got some tough decisions to make. What are they? Stick around and find out. Welcome to Eccentric Nature. I'm Eric Hayden. On this channel, I like to cover funny, weird, and bizarre facts about plants, herbs, and animals, give you a few tips and tricks about how to raise them in your home, and give you the lowdown on some fun and interesting teas, mostly herbal. So if any of these things strike your fancy, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, click that bell, and then we can all party hardy. So, here's my quandary. This is my indoor herb garden update for August/September, and I'm at that point of the year where I'm needing to decide what to do for the winter. Because most of these herbs, some of them can definitely live through the winter season, no problem. The lavender is going to make it, the rosemary will probably make it, and the thyme probably can even make it. But some of the others, like the basil, it gets pretty cold around here. And I would love to overwinter everything and just restart them from cuttings the following year. So everybody who won't be a perennial and just live on, I'd love to be able just to restart them from cuttings and keep the cuttings going during the winter. The question is how do I do that? And I haven't done it yet in this place, which is the hard thing. I don't have a good setup for it here. I can get an LED light, but I don't necessarily have a heater I can get. So when it gets cold overnight, the question is, will that kill them? I could probably keep the light up well enough, but other than that, it's a very tough quandary. So please let me know in the comments section down below what you think I can do in my simple little indoor home garden setup to keep these herbs going over the winter. I have a lot of ideas on what I can do to make it work, but I haven't done it here yet. So I'm very interested to hear your thoughts on how to keep some of these tougher herbs growing over the winter, especially things like the peppermint. The peppermint doesn't necessarily naturally grow from seeds, it tends to naturally go from cuttings. And I'm going to show you my chocolate mint and is definitely ready for some cuttings. Oh yeah, it is. And my peppermint can probably do the same thing. But let's get started. Let's show you some herbs. Actually, I'm going to start you off with this. This is my platycodon and a raven. Now, obviously, his flowering is done. There's no more flowers left. And while the stalk still looks good, and I'll probably leave it on a little bit longer to gather some more sunlight, and he's done for the season. I'm pretty darn sure. But this guy suffered mightily from the bug battle I dealt with. Is it up there? Or is it up there? Yeah, it's not going to get any more than this one stalk this year. Hopefully, now that he's fully cured, and he did actually get some flowers off of this one, which was really nice. Hopefully now we can actually get him to grow a couple new stems, because he had a couple stems going, but then they got infected by the bugs and they died, so. Now my peppermint has taken off. Look at this. Look how long that guy is. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, baby. Peppermint. Woo! Peppermint dance. Ah! I am so happy about this guy. The last round, peppermint, tulsi, basil, and dill, none of them took off because of the bugs. My big bug problem. But the second round I did. Since then, man, oh yeah, look at that. I'm so happy about them. But the tulsi and the dill, neither of them took off. The tulsi is, look at it, it's got two little tiny buds, and that's all it's gotten. It hasn't grown any further than that. So I'm like, what do you do about that? And the dill's already gone, man. I used it. I ate the dill with some fava beans and some nice Chianti. Actually, it wasn't fava beans. I think it was salmon. But yeah, the dill did actually pretty good. So I was happy that it was able to recover a little bit. But again, the aphids started coming back on that one. Is there like aphid buds somehow inside the seeds? I mean, how do they show up like this? It's confounding how it happens. I want to do more research on like, how do aphids get created? How do they get started? Because they just kind of show up out of nowhere. And it's frustrating. So yeah, as for everybody else here, I'm very happy. Everybody's been doing well, looking good, and it's mainly a question of how to overwinter these guys or not. That's the main thing. I mean, every single one of them looks great. The lavenders both look good. The basil, it's hasn't been growing tremendously. Because I think, again, the bug problem stunted it, and since then it just has not really taken off again. And that's part of the reason I definitely want to get it out of this soil, do some cuttings, and restart it. But I don't necessarily want to restart it from scratch again, from seed. I'd rather just restart it from some cuttings. And if it's not from this guy, maybe I'll just have to get some other cuttings and restart it from that and try that out. So we'll see. I love my basil, and I'm always going to want some during the winter, so I'm going to figure out something. I'll make something work. Let's go over the orchids. Okay, so Ginny has been cut back. It's sad, and I can't hold this properly to get you a better shot of it, unfortunately. She's on a weird balance point. So if you can look in there, you can see right there that there was a new leaf growing, but it accidentally broke when I repotted it. Not cool. And the repot went pretty good, but I mean, the leaning, she is leaning something fierce. I mean, she was leaning before like this. She's ready, just wanting to hang right off the side of that pot. I mean, orchids tend to do that naturally, though, I think. But really, I think I could have almost gone up an extra size on this. I think it was a 11 centimeter pot. I could have probably gone all the way up to a 15 centimeter pot with this guy. I mean, even up to a 14. This one, which was just 1 centimeter bigger, she's still kind of almost bursting out of it. Look at that. It's crazy. So the twins are both doing pretty good here. Now George, his leaves are still holding on just fine, which is good so far. I mean, I've been expecting these ones to wilt away in favor of his new ones that have come in. But so far, they've been hanging on. So I'm quite surprised about that, really. His roots, the ones since the repot, are still looking really good, which is nice. I mean, gotta love that. Gotta love how all of his roots are still hanging on. It's really strong. You can look in here and see there's like one root that's exposed that's turning brown since the repot. Overall, I'm really happy with him. I think he's done well with the repotting and is looking really sharp. And same here, looking really good. Just a little bit of dirt on there. I put a little bit of extra potting mix in there because there's so little downward roots. I put a couple of these aerial ones down into the soil, which I normally wouldn't do because he was so overbalanced with no downward roots and nothing but aerial roots that he was just falling out of the pot. So I had to keep him somehow, able to stay in the pot. And I mean, essentially, you could do that and just keep them, mist them a bit more often, kind of like a Vanda. But the Phalaenopsis do better with soil, and the Vandas can just be like, I'm out, I'm cool, yes, water me, love me. But these guys, they work a little bit better with having this bark on them. So let's go on to Ollie. Obviously, I had that really hard repot. If you haven't seen it yet, go ahead and check it out. But he hasn't been doing quite as well. Definitely has some roots here that are looking not so pretty. Definitely, see, look at that. This one was nice and green before the repot. Now it's gone brown, and it's because I think the root got damaged, as well as some of these other ones. That's a bit brown now. So he's still suffering. Another brown one there from the repot, his hard repot. And my mom, thank you, Mom, you were so right. I was in the panic of the moment, and it was one of those things that is like, yeah, duh, of course I should have done that. While I was taking him out of the pot, I should have just watered everything down as I was trying to get it out of the pot to loosen everything up. And that would have probably made it a lot easier. But I didn't, and I have to live with that. I'm sure Ollie's gonna be fine. I had to cut a leaf off already, but that's nothing unexpected for him. I mean, right at the moment he has 5 leaves, 1 new one coming in, but he normally, every year, only has 4. And so if this one survives, I'll be surprised. I already had cut 1 off. This one's starting to feel a little bit weak. So wouldn't be surprised at all if this one goes as well, and he ends up with just the 4 again up here. So, Amy, the amaryllis, looking fabulous. Look at these leaves. Beautiful. Gorgeous leaves. Nice and long. Ooh, look at that. Ooh, long leaf. New one even coming in. I had to cut 1 off, and that's to be totally expected. I mean, I'll be cutting all these off here within the next month or 2, and this one's feeling a little bit soft here. But the rest of them, yeah, fabulous. Amy's in good shape for where she's supposed to be at this point. And I'm going to take extra care with her, make sure I don't break her this next year when I get my flower out. My Anthurium is looking wonderful so far. I'm very happy with it, except for this one part, which looks like it's been part of the Toxic Avenger series for some reason. Weird. But it has a little friend. It has inherited a little spider that's decided to really spread out his web, and I've left him there because I've been feeding him the aphids I've been finding. Come, little spider, feast. Yes. No, help me, help me. There is no help, there is only spider. Yes, feast. Feast, my friend. Oh yeah, I'm so happy about this. Should I be? I don't know. This is kind of scary in a way, but hey, get them, spider. Get them. Death to all aphids. Oh, but the cinnamon basil's looking great. I'm very happy about that. It's starting to flower, as you can see at the top here. Bing! Now the cilantro coriander is also taken off and done fabulous since I've repotted it. And it's got a couple yellow leaves. That's because the aphids have been on him. And I've had to shug them all off of him and put them on the Anthurium. But overall, doing great besides a small aphid problem. The oregano, marvelous. I've been using this a lot for tea. And even with cutting it back a lot, I mean, look how bushy it is. It's great. I love it. Sage, also marvelous. I let this one grow out a little bit, but I could definitely start harvesting it now because it's got quite a few leaves I can use. Chives! Chives! And outside, we've got apple mint, which is having a little bit of trouble. I'm gonna definitely just use this guy up completely and harvest it. It's wanting to completely bolt anyways, but a lot of the leaves here are looking ugly. It's even got a little bit of like white moldy stuff on it too, so I'm really just gonna kill it all off. Now the petunia is looking wonderful. I mean, look at all these flowers. I've got a few I need to deadhead and pull off here, which I'm gonna start doing. Hey, Bomb, let's get rid of that. But overall, awesome. Look at that baby. Woohoo! Marjoram, awesome. Look at this guy. Great. It's got a few at the bottom that are a little bit brown because of the heat, but overall, it's great. I'm happy with it. Now, again, variegated lemon thyme. Yes, marvelous, marvelous. Love you, lemon thyme. Spearmint. Woo, look at that green. Oh my gosh, so green. So awesome. Spearmint, my friend. The berries and cream mint, it's doing all right. It's got a couple little yellow leaves, but overall, not too bad. As I showed you a little bit earlier, the chocolate mint is doing fabulous. Look at all these runners. They're huge. And I could easily make a whole new chocolate mint plant out of each one of these runners. But I don't really have space for that. So I'll probably make one new plant for sure, because looking at all these leaves and whatnot, the tops are okay. I've got some that are really green, but I've lost a lot of it because of the heat and such. And a lot of these stems just need to be cut back completely. And I'm not sure if I'm going to save this one or not. And finally, my lily here, I'm pretty happy with it. It's got a couple of the stems that I cut back have all rotted out, so I'm just going to pop all these out, pull them out, there they go. The leaves that have regrown, luckily there's some there that are going to gather a little bit of sunlight, and it should definitely reflower. I hope. Gosh, I hope. So yeah, everybody else outside, I mean, the big rosemary is looking a little bit rough. He's got a few of his the bottom area. You can look there and see that it's a bit brown. and been losing a little bit of that in there. But overall, I mean, I'm really happy about this. This was more of an experiment than anything. I expected him hopefully to live, but I wasn't sure because this was just a store-bought one. I got this one from Waitrose, and usually when I get those, they'll only last a couple months, but I decided, okay, let's try and put him in the soil and expand it out and see if he takes. And so far, it's looking good. I'm looking forward to seeing how it does over the winter, and hopefully it'll make it, and he'll turn huge and fabulous. But at the moment, his growth rate hasn't been great, but rosemary tends to be pretty slow as far as I've known since I've been growing it. Every year it tends to just like very slowly grow. But both the rosemaries I have are looking great. The Blue Lagoon is marvelous. I mean, it's tons of new green growth. The lemon balms are doing okay. One of them, more than the other, has been really having trouble with the heat waves that we had. It's much cooler now. Both the hyssop and the lemon balm, I think, suffered a lot from the last couple of heat snaps when it got really warm. On the top of the hyssop, you can see that it looks pretty green and it's in a good shape there. So I'm not worried about it surviving at the moment, but I'm more wondering what I want to do with it, if I want to just take some cuttings and try and regrow off of that rather than keep it in this soil. Overall, I think the aloe's looking good. I've only been doing the once a week of watering, just like the orchids, because it's like a succulent. And I think it's pretty happy so far. I'm happy with how it's looking. I'm thinking the two outside ones that look a little bit brown, I'm just going to go ahead and cut those off and use them for various purposes, because they're just not looking that good. And that was actually like that when I got it. So it's not necessarily something I've done to it. They were all looking a little bit brown like that when I first bought it. Woo! So that's it. That's everybody. I think on the whole, I'm really happy with how everybody's done this year, considering the difficulties I've had to go through with that huge, epic bug battle I dealt with for a couple of months. It really took a toll on a lot of these guys. So the fact that they lived and still thrived after that, I think, is a big, huge, happy pat on my back. I just feel so happy that I managed to get them stay keeping alive. That's what I'm saying. Like, yay, good job, they lived. Because I expected to lose more than what I lost because of the bugs. And so yeah, I'm just like, whoa, I'm happy about that. And I gotta be, you gotta keep that attitude and be like, yes, when they survive, that's a good thing. So yeah, that's it. If you have any other comments, please let me know in the comment section down below. Otherwise, please go ahead and like the video, share it. Have you subscribed? Until next time, be kind to each other. And I hope all of your herbs grow nice and big and tasty.